Well, we'll call to order the FARGODOME Authority meeting here for Tuesday, June 28th. We have Rick is out, Troy is sick, and Dan is also out, so we do have a quorum, so we will conduct business for the FDA. And with that, the agenda is before the group here. Is there any changes?
The only additional item will be a request for a date change for the March FDA meeting.
Okay, date change, FDA, and then I'll put under additional business, item B, NDSU, FARGODOME or FDA, and then we'll call it land lease. I'll just give an update on that. So with that, with the two added items under additional business, that being date change FDA and NDSU FDA land lease, would there be motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll make that.
Thank you, Mike. Todd, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Before you are the December 2011, December 11th, 2024 minutes. Boy, that's 60, jeez, that's a while ago.
Last time you got a haircut.
It was December 4th.
Listen to that.
It was December 4th.
Next time get it cut in the back.
He was, Blake was just riding over here just like, hey, how am I gonna work one in, get that singer?
At least you went out of your hair. Now you're
I'll
calling
make a
shirt.
motion to accept it.
You're a good man, I appreciate that.
Second.
I got a second.
Especially with that commie.
Yeah.
Okay, I got all that.
Last time you got a haircut, that's good stuff. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Carried on, item number 2, that is old business. Any old business before the FDA? Hearing none, we'll go on to 3, and that's new business. 3A, general manager report. Rob, tables yours.
All right, thank you. We'll start with the November financials, page 3. It seems like a long time ago, but with the timing of meetings, not really going to focus much on this month, just go over the highlights. So for the month of November, we had 9 events, almost 67,000 attendees, event income of just over $439,000 compared to indirect expenses of $440,000. So for the month, we had a net income of $161,600. Net surplus. That compared to a budget of $87,000, so about $74,000 over budget. Not really going to draw much, although I will just point out on the motorsports, the $12,000 negative. That was Nitro Circus. That was not under budget. That was under zero. That was the show that we did purchase, tried to attempt, looked through a lot of different things, didn't go as well as planned. So that show was a show bought by FARGODOME, but resulted in a $12,000 loss. Again, that just gives you, it's a very small microcosm of what it could be when you say, hey, let's start buying shows or throwing money around. That's what can happen. It's pretty good reality, because that was a low-risk show and it turned out to be that. Any questions on the month of November? So yeah, I should probably give you the year-to-date through November too, just to be fun. 86 events, 422,300 attendees. Event income of $3.187 million. Expenses of $4,800,000. So we did have a net surplus through the month of November of $155,000 compared to a budget of $28,000. So we were very favorable against the overall budget for the month of November. Any questions? Moving on to December then. For December, we had 5 events with a total attendance, that's on, page 18. 5 events with attendance of 55,400 compared to a budget of 6 events and 25,000. The budgeted events would have been the Health Tech Trade Career Fair and Rumble on the Red, and 2 concerts that we ran through, knowing Pentatonics was in there. What actually happened was, yes, the Health Tech Trade Show, 3 NDSU playoff football games, and the Pentatonics show. Rumble on the Red moved into January due to the timing of the schedule. So for the month, we had total event income of $482,000. We had expenses of $638,000, but we did end up with a net surplus of $19,089, which is pretty close to the budgeted $18,900. On the concert side, $108,000 below budget, but that is obviously, as we talked about last week, that was 2 concerts that we ran through. Pentatonics, attendance-wise, was great against budget, but we typically budget on that $14 per cap for food and beverage and merch, and this was a very low per cap show with low merch sales and low food and beverage sales, more in that $650 range, which is a holiday show is typically like that. The NDSU, $277,000 above budget. Obviously, we preach and talk about all the time is the NDSU playoff games are not budgeted. So that is just one of those ride the wave, ride or die, do whatever you want to call it with NDSU and our partnership there. So we appreciate the help that we got there, and also obviously a huge congratulations to NDSU and their winning of the national championship in this year. So that was great to see, and I think there's definitely some momentum being built back up with that team. Well, the team for sure, but with the fan base hopefully too, to keep riding that wave through this year and into the fall. Then, as I said before, the Rumble on the Red moved to January, so that didn't make the budget on that. We'll move through. Other income, interest continued to be high. Expense-wise, labor is $80,000 above budget. That December is also the month we get the accrued sick leave payouts from the city of Fargo, as well as the vacation accruals. Moving through for that, operations was below budget, $22,000. Maybe it is a 4-letter word, Excel. So we have to basically estimate with all our meters, and they didn't give us an actual meter reading for 3 months. We did our estimations and accruals, and they finally came and got it in December, and we had accrued much more than the actual came through. So there was a fixing of that. Thankfully, they did it in December, and it wasn't carrying over into January or anything such as that. Concessions contracts, payments above budget. Again, with the higher food and beverage sales from the playoffs, those aren't budgeted, so those are paid out along with the management fee percentage of sales. Any questions on the month of December? So for the year to date, we finished the year 91 events, 481,690 attendees. So another high number of attendees. We had total event income of just over $3.6 million. Other income, which is our advertising suite holders, ticketing revenue, interest revenue, all those sorts of things, just about $2 million. And so we had indirect expenses of $5.4 million. So we did end the year with a net surplus of $174,000 compared to a budget of $47,000. So I think that's how I felt the whole year. I slept pretty good when I saw this for the one night, and then I started worrying about 25. But so you can see the breakout on the events, concerts. Obviously, it was a slower year overall, but also a different type of concert. Yes, we had the Cody Johnson show, which was a great concert, 15,000 people. But then the other shows were made up of Mercy Me, Nate Brigazzi, and Pentatonics. So 4 great events running through a market of 250,000 people. But the Christian contemporary, the comedians, and the holiday shows don't really bring in the same type of per caps as a Cody Johnson. But as it was designed to work with NDSU, about almost $400,000 above budget due to a combination of having the 3 extra playoff games, but also great attendance, very strong per caps throughout at least 4 of their 6 regular season games, and still good attendance at the other 2. Family shows about 90,000 above budget. Ran good attendance numbers with Disney on Ice and the rodeo, and right around budget for circus and the other ones on that. We've talked about the other ones. Again, the motorsports, that's including the 12,000 loss with Nitro Circus, so Monster Jam overperformed as well for last year. Indirect expenses, labor was about 40,000 below budget, combination obviously with the extra stuff from the sick leave accruals, or sick leave payouts, vacation accruals, not having one or I shouldn't say, we eliminated one full-time position. We delayed the hiring slightly of a second one. And then also for the last couple of months, Don Berland, a full-time building engineer, went down to part-time hours. He's remaining at that. And we will continue that through at least the first, if not second quarter, and depending upon what happens with our event schedule, maybe longer. As we go through that with our 2 current full-time engineers, and we also look at a bit of a reorganization with those positions within the department as well, to kind of figure out what the best, most efficient use of our resources is. Operations overall about $32,000 below budget. Concessions contracts and the management fee both above budget, but that's basically due to sales. So I couldn't find the nonprofit or the volunteer labor payout, but food and beverage did essentially $3.9 million in sales for the year, and about $778,000 of that was through third parties. So your Domino's, your Far Out Nuts, your Dippin' Dots, Buzzy Bee Coffee, all of those. So yeah, Domino's is a little bit more corporate, but a lot of those other ones, even Fargo Phillies, Cold Stone is locally owned. So you've got our events here, over $750,000 are going to kind of some locally owned businesses that are also benefiting from a lot of the events that we have here as well. That would conclude my report on the financials. Does anybody have any questions on either the month of November or December for financials?
Great year. Thanks, everyone.
Yes. Another year in the black, we like that.
I'll make a motion to approve the November, December financials as presented in the general manager's report.
Thank you, Blake. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Todd's got the second. This is roll call.
Todd?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Thank you. So with that being accepted, just a couple more comments on the financials overall and just the group effort that it is. We as a group in our Tuesday planning meetings have been talking, or I have been talking about what we thought the year was going to be, the financial situation for many months in 2024. So it's my appreciation to not only those in the room, my coworkers in the room, but all the full-time staff and the part-time staff really came together, worked hard to watch expenses as much as possible, be as efficient as possible with the labor we had. And then December was one of those months when we ended up with an NDSU playoff game, 2:30 kick on Saturday the 14th. Had to change the building over and be ready for Pentatonics load-in. I think it was 6 a.m. Sunday morning. And so for that, we put marketing, Sarah and Morgan had a time lapse together. Does that work? Mm-hmm. And so you can just see down there and take a quick look at just the changeover going from the football game on the 14th through the changeovers and into Pentatonics as getting ready for it, then the football game, and then into Pentatonics. So this stuff right here is all happening basically 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Sure.
We went quiet for a bit. Now this is now Sunday morning.
Tear it all down.
Good.
show's over, tearing it all down.
Is that how fast they really work?
Yes. At times it feels like that, at times it doesn't.
Did the south stands move?
Just a little bit. Yeah. Just a little bit.
Is that for the?
Way to bring up a sore spot, Blake.
It's
So,
like, don't talk about that.
so that
Sore subject. Sore
that essentially was from 9 o'clock Saturday morning through, it cut out at probably about 2 a.m. Monday morning, 1 a.m. Monday morning. So that pretty much straight. They left, not me, but a lot of our operations guys left at about 4 a.m. Sunday morning. Some of them who were coming back some left at midnight, some left at 2. I think the last one left at 3:30. And then building back up at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and 9 a.m. the next day. But to put that in perspective, so for the Bison game, if we're adding all the staff, event services, security, police, parking, food and beverage operations, it gets close to about 500 people for all of those things. If we're adding in NDSU's staff, not the team like the band, like they do for their attendance accounts, but it's about 450 to 500 people. Turning around with Pentatonics, then again another 400 to 450 people, touching on 500 between food and beverage, between the loading crews setting it up, the event staff coming in 3 hours early because we didn't have time to set all the chairs or long enough conversions. So we had a bunch of part-time event staff come in, help set the chairs early. We had a lot of our, Sarah and Morgan and others in marketing were helping set dressing rooms, helping catering with food and beverage. So it's, if you're ever hearing a conversation from people, they don't do much out there, remember that. It doesn't happen every weekend or every month, thank goodness for that. But it is cool to see everybody come together and do all that of what the building can do. I do not advocate for that to be done monthly or even 4 times a year because it takes many weeks for people in the building to recover from that sort of stuff. But it is neat, and we can do it when we have to. But as I've said before, with what NDSU football has become, we used to do was we would do concerts on Thursday and Friday and have the football game on Saturday, but NDSU football has become such an event. Even with a 2:30 kickoff, it basically is an event from 6 a.m. in the morning to midnight after the game. It's very difficult to try to do all of that while we still have a concert. But with pulling the turf, that helps, but when we have to move the seats a little bit, particularly when it's only 20 feet, some people get a little testy. Well, we all did, but we had to do it. But it worked, so it's just great to see it. I think it's important for you as a group to see what everybody who works here takes on when they say, okay, I think we can do this. But it's just a good reminder of what we can do. And with the results that showed for the month of December, it really did help. So just a huge thank you to everybody I get to work with here on a full-time and part-time basis.
Good work.
So that's kind of enough about our past events because we talked about it with the 3 football games and the Pentatonic show for December. And then we did talk about Rumble on the Red. So they, again, some of our staff gave up their New Year's Day holiday. They were in working on New Year's Day with the Rumble setting up their mats and getting their registration. And they had their high school and junior varsity tournament on Thursday and Friday, the 2nd and 3rd of January. And then their youth tournament on the 4th of January. I never heard a final number, but I know when I was talking to Steve Saxon, one of the event organizers, said, how is it going? It was kind of we've never had this many high schools involved. And I don't know if he kind of alluded to you, Todd, if he had a final number, but I think it was in that 70, 80 high school teams and their JV teams and some of their youth teams, and then a lot of youth wrestlers as well. So I think a very successful event there. We did have the second weekend in January off. We were supposed to be booked with a another charitable event, but they decided that financially they had to move to a different venue to do that. And then on the 17th and 18th, we had the North Dakota Elite Cheer Competition. That's an event that's been at Shields Arena in years past, but they decided to try it out here. First time event, so there's always a few jitters, but it seemed to go well. Good attendance. The reports I've had is they were very happy with how they did things here, and we'll just be able to take that to the next level as they expand with the different spaces and options that they have here. And then this past weekend, the Red River Valley Boat and Marine Products Show started moving in on Tuesday the 21st, and then the 22nd, 23rd with the show the 24th, 25th, and this past Monday the Sunday the 26th. Loaded out that evening, and the dirt is now coming in today for Monster Jam, which will be this Saturday and Sunday. Any other questions on any past events? Moving forward then, as I said, we have Monster Jam. This year, we decided to try something different. Who knows if it'll be better or worse. Instead of doing a 1 o'clock and a 7 o'clock show on Saturday, we're doing 2 matinees. Pit parties in the morning, show at 1 o'clock for both Saturday and Sunday. Then the dirt will come out Sunday afternoon and evening. Change the building over quick, and NDSU Career and Counseling Center will be in here. Career and Advising Center will be in here on the 4th and the 5th, next Tuesday, Wednesday, for their spring career fair that they have. And then they get out, and right away the Fargo Kiwanis will come in, starting actually on the 6th, the Thursday, to set up their grills, and we'll have everything, and they'll have the Kiwanis Pancake Carnival 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday the 8th. The way February falls this year with the kind of 5-ish weekends, we have that open weekend in February, and then the state wrestling tournament, combined wrestling tournament will be in here. They'll load in on Wednesday the 19th with the wrestling tournament, essentially 9 a.m. to 7-ish, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leading up to our next meeting, which will be on Tuesday, February 25th, which is the start of the Red River Valley Home and Garden Show, which is put on by the Building and Industry Association. Any questions on past or upcoming events? With that, that's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. We'll carry on to 3B, and that is committee reports, and that's building and finance. And Blake, I understand you have the honors of delivering that report.
Filling in for Rick. So we heard the November, December financials for project and capital updates. Rob updated committees on the turf project, saying that Astro Turf was here in January. Did some testing, painted lines on the turf, cycled it in and out to look for stretching. And we're just waiting to hear on that final report from them and see what our next steps are. And then with Rob also updated committees on the food and beverage point of sale system. That system is nearing its end of life. The software hardware is not supported anymore. The contract with the original vendor is also nearing the end. The original vendor we have there has been bought out 2 times. So we just made the committees aware of RFP that will go out. We're working with the City of Fargo Finance and Purchasing Department on that. Total cost will be between $125 and $150 to be paid out of the permanent fund. Just wanted the committees to be aware of that. No comments there. So, and then the October escrow balance and performance was made available for review. And no comments there as well. Any questions? Hearing none, I'd move to approve the committee report.
With that, roll call?
Todd?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Blake. Appreciate that. We'll go on to item number 4, and that's additional items. And Rob, you're first with date change FDA March.
All right, I'm gonna back up the capital project just for 1 second, one update too on that. Nothing that he talked about, just an FYI. It does look like We're waiting for confirmation from the vendor, but it looks like the new basketball floor will be delivered Monday, February 27th. So it'll be here in time, and they want to take the existing floor out right away, and I said, that's great. As soon as we get the new floor unloaded and put together, so we make sure that all the pieces are there, you can have our floor. So we'll get that and then get the old one out of the way. And so when we host the Division AA Combined Basketball Tournament March 13th to the 15th, it'll be on the new floor with that. So looking forward to that.
Did that end up being a traditional floor, any funky designs or anything? Pretty normal.
Actually, Sarah designed it, and she had a good idea, so we went with just a regular maple coloring, but what we did was then shaded the pinwheel and started the pinwheel at center court and then just ran the seven spears all the way out. But it stops at the NCAA 3-point line, picks up here and there. But so everything within the NCAA is just normal. So we went pretty simple and just kind of did that.
Nice.
So it's kind of what we're seeing. We didn't do the cityscapes. We're not going to be like the NBA teams and have 4 different floors that the crews get to store and put down, or 3 different types of turf or things such as that. But I think it'll look good, and
Sounds like it.
and hopefully it'll work a little bit better and play a little bit better than some of our dry spots on our 24-year-old floor. March 25th is the schedule for the current schedule for the March FDA meeting. I am requesting that the group may consider moving that a week to Monday, April 1st. A very important date conflict has happened for that March 25th date. My wife said I'm celebrating her birthday by going on a trip with her and my son.
You sure this
So-
isn't April Fool's?
Well,
It'll be Tuesday, April 1st, not
is it
Monday.
Tuesday, April 1st? Yeah, okay, Tuesday, April 1st. And, there's a lot of time in there, so I can come up with a name, or, who sees. But yeah, that would be my request. You certainly are welcome to have the meeting on Tuesday the 25th. I will just not be present, and I don't think I'd be able to join via video or telephone, but Bernie would be more than happy to manage that meeting.
With that, I also am traveling on the 25th, so I would be gone myself.
So that's actually really why I wanted to move it. I was just covering for you.
No, you sold out first, so I didn't even have to bring that out, that I was gonna be gone, so. I have no opposition because I won't be here regardless, so if there's.
You're gonna be gone on the 1st too?
No, I'll be on the 1st, but I'd be gone on the 25th, yes, I would.
Is that spring break for Fargo School?
That's the week before.
The week before, okay.
It's the week before.
I won't be around for those committee meetings.
On the 19th or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so is there any opposition to moving it to the 1st of April? So let's plan on that then.
All right.
We'll plan on that and notify accordingly.
Okay.
All right, on the 19th of March, as Blake pointed out, that is spring break for Fargo. So I will be gone that Wednesday
I'll be gone that Wednesday too.
I'm sure Todd will be gone that Wednesday. So
Okay.
we could still obviously have the meetings.
Spring training.
Are you all gonna be here on well, you won't, because you're gonna be gone on the 20th. Well, I won't either. Would more of you be here on March 26th?
Yeah. For that committee.
Yeah, we could do, we'll figure it. I won't be here. But we can,
Or the week before? Go ahead.
Well, we could talk
we
about
could,
it.
we just wouldn't have the financials done.
Let's talk about it again.
Correct.
For sure, we'll move FDA to April 1st, and then we can have a conversation about finance in February, if we need to move that or not.
I think what we'll do is I'll ask Amanda, if you want to remember, great, but otherwise we'll have somebody reach out to you just to get your last half of March schedules.
Yep.
And see if we can find a day. It doesn't have to be Wednesday either.
Sure.
Maybe it's Monday, March 31st, for committee meetings and then do that meeting
We've
as well.
done it earlier.
We do go early, it's just that you don't have financials.
No, I meant, we haven't always done them on Wednesday. There's been a time
Correct.
we switched it to
Yep.
Tuesday.
Yep. Yep. And if we know that going forward, if we know that the date's not gonna have a quorum, what's the point of,
Right.
if we know in advance, let's just not even attempt to have the meeting. And we'll go, because if I'm hearing two, is Moorhead's not out though, right?
They're the week before, we're the same week as the basketball tournament.
Okay. So, and with Dan is gone already, so if he's not available via phone, that takes a quorum out of finance right there. So, okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we can revisit that at the February FDA. But for sure, we'll go to April for the true FDA.
Okay.
4B, and that's, I'd added this to the agenda, and that's NDSU, FDA, and land lease on the 22nd of January. Myself, Rob, and Rick met with Troy, Mr. Cook, and Matt Larson, and I forget the other gentleman's name. It was
Chase Beeler,
Chase, yeah.
who is the new
this
chief of staff
chief of
for
staff.
President Cook.
And we just had a high-level, off-the-record conversation about the land lease, as everyone's aware, that we would need NDSU's permission to do anything with the land lease in the event that we bid and secure the convention center RFP. So they were accepting to having the conversation that, or not accepting, but to move forward with, when the RFP comes out, to put a best foot forward, and if that, we should secure that, the discussions on amending the land lease is open for discussion. So a very positive meeting on that side. So I guess that, I wouldn't say it was a hurdle, it was a step that we had to take and get through that. So that's been taken care of. So just want to pass that on. Then the other thing that I have that we want to put on the radar for 25, I think we should anyways, is get the naming rights discussion going, and I've been thinking about that. One of the avenues I was thinking about is forming a subcommittee to go out there and research the naming rights on. I know we've done that in the past with other things, of like for the ticketing, we used to do subcommittees. So I thought I had, can have more discussion on that. The other one is the $30 million in dome improvements, or the permanent fund on that. Any thoughts on that? Anything from RLE at this point? I know we were talking about a punch list. Awfully quiet over there. We gotta get that fired
Your
up.
timing is impeccable.
Is it?
Yep.
All right.
I'm gonna let you finish your thought first.
No. That was the three things: the naming rights, the roughly $30 million in dome improvements, and then the convention center RP. I wanted to key on that just for a minute. Is that our understanding is that committee at the city level is being put together, and that RP should. Original idea was it would be coming out the front end of February. I don't know if they're going to hit that timeline or not. So. That's in motion, and once the RFP comes out, the timeline we'd heard there'd be a 90-day response time frame, which is a pretty tight turn. So we'll see. But the convention center RFP will hit the market sooner than later. So that's in process at the city level. So yes, that's all I have.
So a couple of things there, and since you brought it up in a public meeting, it's not off the record.
Right.
As far as the naming rights stuff, that was part of the overall kind of evaluation that hasn't done yet, but we'll put together and put a RFP out to find a company to work with that. Once we have those dollars and that happens, and that was, if you recall, that was talking about whether it's naming rights, whether it's naming the press box, valuing, at that time, a club area on the west side.
The term naming rights is meant
different
broad,
things,
reaching.
correct. And so it's more of just a building asset, marketing asset evaluation by a company to do that. And I will try to move that forward here in the coming weeks to get that started and out, and then get responses back, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
So prior to setting up any subcommittees or any official
Gotcha.
work such as that. And I know it might not be in the interest of public scrutiny, but there is not going to be one company that will respond to you if you're trying to do this through a formal subcommittee and find out the valuation. Just, you're gonna have to have some sort of, not secrecy, but privacy, and then reporting back on any of that activity. And that's not a knock or anything. Regarding the potential stuff with RLE, I actually met with them yesterday, and they are in the process of forming a basis of a plan of what could be done, or what should be done, or what would have to be done if somebody were to put a claim in. You know, whether it's Department of Justice, anything such as that. So they're working on that and going through that, and essentially I believe the way it's going to be presented is this is what you have to do. This is a way to get there. This is an alternative way to get there in cost estimate. And if you're going to do this, you really should do this. Because if you even do this, you're not fixing this. And that has to do with accessible seating. It has to do with restrooms. It has to do with all those types of areas, and not only just the number, but the dysplasia vertically and horizontally throughout the building. Additionally, they are finalizing all of the dollars for a full LED building conversion, concourse, arena, field level. That all needs to be done. Our concourse lighting, we did our lighting system in about 2007, I think it was, 2006. All of the ballasts, all of the fixtures are all obsolete. I mean, it's becoming more and more apparent that the way you create more sales is to stop baking and supporting crap. So we have to, there's really no payback on the concourse side, but we have to do it. On the arena side, it would be replacing all of the HID fixtures, the football lights with LED lighting, all of the courts lighting, that is that seating and stair or field minimal lighting with LED lighting, and then also looking at maybe some accent lighting for different things there on the LED side. On a related note, with the 2007, 2006 lighting conversion, and I won't do it at this group because it is a small group today. I'll plan to do it at February, is ask for a reallocation of the $60,000 that is in the capital budget currently for our Dant bridges. Stage right, we just haven't, they're not going to get to them until 2026 with everything they have going on. So we've got some other priorities, and what that will be is to reallocate that money to actually switch out all of the current lighting relay cabinets. There's like 25 of them, field level, concourse level, arena level. Those are also obsolete, and they cannot, they have committed to making, remaking one of the existing, but they won't make any more to get us by. The better preference is just to replace them all, which with a LED lighting conversion means we don't have to do that, because that'll be in place for that. So that'll come up at the February meeting as well. So met yesterday, and they were probably going to shoot for the March building finance meeting for them to actually do a presentation to the group, so that you as a group can hear that information, see those dollar values, and then start having your conversations at the city level as to what next steps will be with regards to asset preservation and updating of FARGODOME.
Appreciate that. And as Paul Harvey would say, is now you know the rest of the story. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate that, the detail on that. So with that, is there any other additional business before the FDA? Hearing none, we're adjourned.